Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. I am your host, Lonnie Jones. My wife Jackie and I moved to the city of Huntsville in 1986 for me to be a youth and family minister. I have been a minister since 1980. I have served in this community as a police chaplain assigned to a SWAT team since 1992, and I've been in private practice as a licensed professional counselor since 1998. I'm also an adventure educator and an avid outdoorsman. I dabble in rock climbing and I goof around with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Our life has been full of many wonderful experiences and some just outright adventures. I used to write about those things in a little church bulletin article. So now instead of asking you to read those things, we're just going to talk about them in our podcast. And as we talk about them, we're going to talk about the facts. The facts lead to concepts, and the concepts lead to application. One caveat about the facts is, for the most part, we're going to tell you the facts just as they happened. But every now and then, we're going to tell you the way other people have told us they remember it happening with a little bit of embellishment. It's all good, clean fun and for educational purposes. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy Keeping Up with Jones. Faulkner University announces a 60% tuition discount for members of the Church of Christ. Now, there are some guidelines. This 60% tuition reduction is applicable to adult undergraduate Bible degrees or graduate Bible degrees from the Curley Graduate School of Theology in the VP Black College of Biblical Studies. You must satisfy all admission requirements and maintain satisfactory academic progress. You must remain continuously enrolled, including summers, until the completion of the degree. You must provide a letter from an elder or minister, preferably on church letterhead, verifying that you're an active member of a Church of Christ congregation prior to your initial enrollment. This offer applies to adult undergraduate degrees such as biblical studies, youth and family ministry tracks, and it also includes graduate degrees. And those are the Master of Arts in Biblical Studies, the Master of Arts in Family Life Ministry, or a Master of Theology, and it also applies to the PhD in Biblical Studies. For undergraduate inquiries, please contact Adult Enrollment, 334-386-7140, 334-386-7140, or Adult Enrollment at Faulkner edu. That is Adult Enrollment at faulkner.edu. For graduate inquiries, please call 334-386-7539, 334-386-7539. Graduate enrollment at faulkner.edu. That is graduate enrollment at faulkner.edu. Faulkner University is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. TKM Incorporated in Moss, Tennessee is a construction company that specializes in erosion control, seeding, and soil, hydroseeding, hydromulch, minor excavation, and silt fence. They also provide traffic control and construction signs. Their business is keeping people safe, but their passion, their mission, is they wish that all men could be saved. TKM has adopted the nickname the King's Men because as they serve you, they also serve the King. If they could provide any of their services for you, please contact them at 931-243-3958. That is 931-243-3958. Or you can contact them on the net at tkminc2001 at twlakes.net. That is tkminc2001 at twlakes.net. TKM Incorporated is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. I began to try and run in early 1992. One must understand that by running in this context, we simply mean jogging, and jogging for me is not and never has been pretty. I loosen up, I stretch out. I lean forward. When I fall off balance, I begin to stumble, and 3.5 miles later, I come to a stop. I'm the only person who, when they go for a jog, people pull over and ask, "Sir, are you all right?" "Excuse me, sir, do you need help?" The sole purpose of that endeavor was to run alongside the SWAT team. Now, in those days, it was called the SRT team, the Special Response Team. The guy that was in charge of our PT training, a guy named Rodney Baker, always referred to what we did as the LSD, the long, slow distance. And in terms of running, we didn't run that far. Most of the time, we'd run 3.5 miles. Sometimes we'd get froggy and run maybe 5, but it was at a decent pace. And we often ran as a group or in a formation. And my goal was, as long as I wasn't the last guy in the line or the last guy to finish, I was going to be happy. My runs, when I wasn't with the team and I was trying to train to run, were often at night. I'd run along a section of Highway 72 and the short section, the northern section of Doug Hill Road. Now, that is Doug Hill, D-U-G, Hill Road, not to be confused with Doug, D-O-U-G, Hill, the long-distance shooting aficionado from Florence, Alabama. I'd go out for these little runs, and then I'd come back. Now, over the years, I've tried to improve my running. I've had reasons why I could not run and had to do some rehab. And so my wife, and you've got to understand, my wife has a master's degree in kinesiology, and she would regularly remind me that there are 2 types of build. A person naturally has a runner's build, lean for speed, or a person has a power build, and it's a little more stocky and not as much built for speed or endurance. And whatever body style you have, you can change the other body style, but without lots of intentional effort, your body will seek homeostasis and return to its more natural form. A power lifter can start running and drop the pounds and get real lean, but if he slacks off in that intentional regimen, he'll go back to the bulky style. And a runner, a lean, lithe runner, can bulk up and change the musculature, but if he doesn't stay on the routine, if he doesn't stay with the regimen, he'll go back to being that lean, mean fighting machine. When she explained this to me, this was her kind way of saying, hey, people with legs as short as yours should power lift and not try to run. And I've never been a long distance runner. Probably the most I've ever run at one continuous time is maybe 10 miles. I run 3.5 miles 3 times a week, and probably once a month I'd do maybe 5 and maybe get out and do a 7 miler. And I've never been a fast runner. But since 1992, I have been a consistent runner. Injuries, colostomy bags, emergency surgeries notwithstanding, I have been able to maintain kind of a running lifestyle. And my goal for running was simple: keep up with the SWAT team. I never had any fantasies of doing a mud race, a death race, a half marathon, or a marathon. I just wanted to be able to jog and be able to maintain a 10 or a sub 10-minute mile pace per hour. Those goals are neither lofty nor impressive, but they are my goals nonetheless. In my struggles to run and my struggles to return to running or maintain consistency, my lovely wife has always been there to keep me in check and to bring me a dose of reality. I do not consider myself to be obsessive about anything that I do, and I'm not even close to being a perfectionist, and I deem myself as being reasonable in all of my pursuits. But I tend to be hard on myself. I believe in intentional adversity, doing the things that you can't, that other people want, so you can do the things that other people can't. When I'd miss a goal, or I'd fail to satisfy some marker that I had established in my own mind, and I would complain about it, she was always quick to try to bring me back to reality and reason with me. I remember comparing myself to Randy Couture, the mixed martial arts fighter, and we're exactly the same age. And I said something about, hey, Randy Couture's my age, and this is what he can do, and this is what he looks like. And she reminded me, hey, they pay Randy Couture several $100,000 a year to be in shape, and you're trying to be in shape as a side gig doing the job that you get to make the money you make. I have finished SWAT's PT test in my 60s. but I have not yet finished it under the required time to say that I passed it. And when I would talk about this and bemoan my failure, Jackie, as always, would use her brand of sports psychology to cheer me up. She would tell me that I just needed to recognize who I am and how old I am and get over it. An example of her coaching ability is one year the team did a CrossFit workout. And I think the name of the workout was called Push, Pull, Carry. And you get the idea. There are things to push, there are things to pull, there are things to carry. And they took the team and they divided us into groups of threes. And while one person was doing the push, the other person was doing a pull. And then together, the two men would carry the other guy. And you had to do three iterations of this so that everybody was a carrier and everybody was carried. And so we divided up into these groups of threes. And in those days, the newest guys on the team were this pair of guys called Boyer and Stegall. They were so similar in build and so similar in ability that I referred to them as the Twinkies. This is not something you should refer to either of them as in their presence. Boyer ran the PT test so fast that it became SWAT legend that Stegall miscounted his laps. Well, in those days, they were the two youngest guys on the team, and I was partnered up with them to do this push, pull, carry workout. And I completed it. I mean, we finished the thing, and we finished the thing under the prescribed time. And I remember getting home that day and telling Jackie, hey, we did this CrossFit workout, and I sort of maintained pace with the team and these younger guys. Well, the next day, I got out of bed, and I was sore. My thighs hurt, my calves hurt, my back hurt. And I told Jackie, I said, maybe that workout was more than I thought it was. And, I feel kind of bad about that little workout making me sore. And our ensuing conversation went like this. She says, and how old is Mr. Boyer? And I responded, well, he's 26. She says, and how old is Mr. Stegall? And I said, well, he's 26. And she says, and how old are you? I said, well, I'm 52. She said, well, add their ages up and see what you come up with. You'd think you'd know better. Know better than what? That part was never articulated, and I didn't ask. So she tells me not to be too hard on myself. She tells me to accept my limitations. She tells me to be realistic in my expectations. And then we're driving down the road. As we're driving down the road, we stop at this intersection, and in the back window in the car in front of us is one of those running stickers. You get these little oval stickers, and they come with a variety of distances. I looked them up on the internet, and the ones that I found are 0.0, 5K, 10K, 13.1, 26.2, 50K, 50, 100K, and 100. And basically, those are distances that you can run in these elite races. And this car had a sticker on the back window, and it said 26.1. In my mind, some print shop messed up the sticker. Someone vaguely knew about running sticker distances, and they understood there's a 13.1 and a 26.2, and they just mixed them up, and they printed the decals. And instead of doing 13.1 and 26.2, they probably did 13.2 and 26.1. But anyway, you got these messed up decals. And if you aren't a runner and don't understand, it is probably easy to do. I mean, I'm in a Facebook group where the guys in the group are saddle hunters. And the particular version of saddle hunting we do is that we climb ropes and we stay attached to the rope the whole time we're hunting. And then when it comes time to leave, you just rappel down the rope. Well, I don't know how many times the guys in this group will make a post and they will call it repelling, R-E-P-E-L-L-I-N-G, rather than rappelling, R-A-P-P-E-L-L-I-N-G. It may just be that they're talking into their phones and getting the text, or it may be that they don't know the difference between repelling and rappelling. It happens all the time. You hear someone talk about a mute point, M-U-T-E, rather than a moot point, M-O-O-T. People talk about the rotator cuff rather than the rotator cuff. People are suffering from Alzheimer's disease rather than Alzheimer's disease. I've heard people say ideal when they meant idea. And recently, one of my friends said that they were in a situation and they hoped they did not exasperate the situation. And what they meant was exacerbate the situation. And the list could go on. But anyway, you've got this guy who messes up a sticker. And it's something you can do. You're in a print shop. You're not a runner. Hey, we need these distances. And they're thinking marathon versus half marathon. So you have this 26.1 sticker on the back of this car. I think it's humorous because I think it's got to be a misprint and somebody put the wrong sticker on their car. And so I look at this 26.1 sticker and I tell my wife, I said, what do you think that means? And without hesitation, my wife, the accomplished coach, the master of kinesiology, sports psychology emphasis, the espouser of balance, temperance, and reason says, well, the only thing that can mean is I'm a pathetic quitter and a loser. What? A guy ran 26.1 miles, 1/10 of a mile less than the official marathon, and you call him pathetic and he's a loser? And she responded, well, he's the one who put the sticker on his car. How in the world do I get to the idea that some of my physical fitness endeavors fall short? Where would I come up with an idea like that? Well, because I live with the sports Nazi. The 26.1 marathon guy is a pathetic loser and a quitter. Now, I assume that her remark was a humorous retort, and she really doesn't feel that way. But I'm scared to ask. You now understand the idea of mixed messages. You should be less hard on yourself. You should accept your limits. You should accept your limitations. Be reasonable for a guy your age. And then you see a sign in a car that advertises a guy missed a marathon by 1/10 of a mile, and he's a loser and a quitter. Mixed messages. Now, okay, I know she was kidding. But how many times do people hear us say offhand remarks and come to believe that those are the rules of the world? How many times have people heard us say things and come to believe that that is our belief system, or at least that is the belief system that they are stuck with? How many times have people heard us say things and decide that they're stuck with that label? Well, you're just a quitter. You're just a loser. How many times have people heard us say things and come to believe that that is our belief system and that this is the criterion that they will be judged by and a standard they will be held to? I don't know why some things have that power, but some things stick to us. Well, anyone who does that is, anyone who believes that, anyone who voted like that, anyone who wears that, looks like that. Hey, listen, you can just try your best. Couldn't you try harder? Hey, a B is fine. Why didn't you make an A? I love you no matter what. You know, if my kid or my spouse ever did that, I told a story in a lesson the other day, and we were talking about the crucifixion. And I basically explained that I had a very nice ring that I got when I was in college. It was my senior ring from college, and it had a blue stone, and inside the blue stone was a cross. And that I had chosen after some reflection in my own life and after looking at what I understood about the Romans and their use of crucifixion as a tool, that I had chosen not to wear decorative crosses. Because those decorative crosses, although they are a reminder of God's love for us, take something that was a cruel torture instrument and makes it soft and pretty and smooth and lovely. We'd never allow a real cross in our church buildings. They're too rough. They're unfinished. They probably smell bad. And there'd be way too much dried blood on them. And I was just making that as an observation about that we sometimes don't really look at the cruelty and the reality of the cross because of the way we express it in jewelry. And it's an entirely personal opinion. I don't think it's wrong to wear a cross. I don't think it's right to wear a cross. It's just something I just chose not to do. It was not a good representation of what I had become to understand. But a very, very young person in the audience got the idea that I thought crosses on jewelry was a way that people made fun of God because they didn't understand the seriousness of the crucifixion. And that's not what I said. That's not what I meant, and it's not what I believe. But that's what they heard, and it stuck with them. Now, we give lip service to your best is okay. Do the best you can. Don't try to be the best. Just be your best. You aren't responsible for what you can't control. The way other people treat you says more about them than about you. But in the next breath, in casual conversation, hey, real men don't tap. I wouldn't let anybody treat me that way. You're a quitter and a loser if you didn't graduate. You're a quitter and a loser if you didn't get a black belt. You're a quitter and a loser if you got divorced. You're a quitter and a loser if you ever thought about suicide. You're a quitter and a loser if you set limits and get out of a toxic situation, whether it's a church, a job, a relationship, a business deal, a friendship, or a family. We listen to people, and those things stick to us and with us. And people listen to us, and those things stick to them and with them, and we create rules for life. We create implicit meanings that give bearing on our worth, our value, and our self-perception. And please understand, I'm not saying that it is always right or always wrong to stop, leave, or quit, or to change. What I'm talking about is the things that are said in our presence or that we say in an offhand, casual moment, and we walk away or others walk away with the interpretations of other people's stickers. And that thing that instantly flows out of our mouth when we respond to the 26.1 sticker, it may not be a Freudian slip actively revealing what we think or feel on the subconscious subliminal level. But when you hear people say things and people hear you say those things, they can and often do become the perceptions, the unspoken rules, and the evaluative metrics for people who are listening. It's not what we actually believe, but it's what we said. And there are those who listen and decide that since we said it, they now believe it, whether or not it's how we actually truly feel. And even if it's not true, it sticks in their minds. I'd like to add a caveat and maybe even a left turn as we end this episode. Excluding delusional thinking, self-deception, deception of others, excuse-making, and the philosophy of everybody gets a participation trophy. 26.1 on a sticker could be a printing mistake. And the guy just has a sense of humor and puts it in the back of his truck anyway. 26.1 could be the guy really thinks he ran a marathon. He didn't. He missed it by 1/10 of a mile. It could be a guy advertising how secure he is with getting that close to the end and then walking off because he had nothing to prove to anybody. It could be a joke. And it could be a guy celebrating that I ran 26.1 miles and that's as far as I could go and that's as far as I could do. And I gave it everything I had. If by some miracle I were to be able to run 26.1 miles and something happened beyond my control, if I passed out, I got hit by a car, if something occurred that was so catastrophic or devastating that I could not walk, limp, crawl, or be dragged the last 0.10 of the marathon, if I'd already done 26.1, I'd put that sticker on my truck and I'd wear it proudly. And I'd be willing to tell anyone who took the time to ask what it really meant. Because those stickers, those labels, they really don't have value in what it means to me. It's not what it means to you. Hey, what does 26.1 mean to you? You're a loser and a quitter. No, what 26.1 means to me is maybe very, very different, very, very significant. And in the end, what it means to me is all that matters. Now, you have to add the caveat that what really matters is not just what it means to me, but does it mean what I think it means? If the meaning of that sticker, of that label is true, regardless of the accomplishment or the feat or the choice or the decision, if the sticker you have on your windshield, if that meaning, what it means to you, is accurate, then by all means, stick with it. Using the tool of shortwave radio, World Christian Broadcasting literally covers the world every day with the gospel. They use 2 large curtain antennas. One is located in Anchor Point, Alaska, and the other in Madagascar. They send out messages that are recorded at their international home in Franklin, Tennessee. They make available 40 hours of broadcast every day. The broadcasts are made in English, Chinese, Russian, Spanish, Portuguese, Korean, English for Africa, and Arabic. They would love for your group to visit them. You can bring your ladies group, your youth group, or your men's group. Just give them a call at 615-371-8707, 615-371-8707, or you can go to 3Ws worldchristian.org, find the Donate Here button, and make a financial contribution to support this work that literally covers the world every day with the gospel. World Christian Broadcasting, in cooperation with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones Podcast Adventure.